Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, now that the World Series is over, now we get into awards season. No, not the Oscars or the Tonys, but of course the baseball awards. And the first one coming in, a bit of a surprise to me, Anthony Volpe wins the Gold Glove for shortstop. Again, that's something I was expected. More awards coming down the pike there, but of course now you're going to start seeing things getting crazy with roster moves. So Yankees put a number of players on waivers, a number of players declaring free agency. So we got you caught up in all that stuff, and plus now Yankees finally, well, really, actually, a story came out of this, supposed third-party analytical firm that's going to analyze the Yankees and tell them what's wrong with themselves. So we'll give you a little background stuff on that. So a lot to cover in this episode. So we're going to dive into it. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe. So if you're watching right now on YouTube, or if you're watching on TV and you want to go onto YouTube, make sure to subscribe. You get notified when new episodes go up. You don't want to miss a beat. And of course, there's an audio version podcast of this show, so something that's updated much more frequently than you're seeing right now or listening right now. So maybe you could be listening on your YouTube channel. You're on the exercise bike like that, and you like to listen to Section 420 Talkin Yankees. Well, got a good news for you. There's an audio podcast version of the show. So wherever you get your favorite podcast, Section 420 Talkin Yankees, a podcast. Subscribe to the well. Get caught up in all the good stuff there. And again, if normally this would be a spot where you want maybe I would read for sponsors if we have any sponsors. We don't have any sponsors, so let's just say you're like a funeral home or something, you want to sponsor the show, you could contact me through going on YouTube, hit me up there as well, and be a sponsor of the show. Right now it's open bag right now, so if you want to be the first one to get it, dive right in. And of course, I guess the headline, Anthony Volpe wins the 2023 Gold Glove for shortstop. Now, it's something I was really not expecting at all. I looked at, we broke it down last time with the numbers, that just the number of errors he had, 17 errors. I just didn't see him be able to, win the Gold Glove that way versus, who he was up against, Carlos Correa, as well as Corey Seager, who just, fresh off a World Series there, and of course, the World Series MVP. So, I figured all those little accolades there would kind of push people towards maybe Seager more, or even Correa. I wouldn't be surprised at because Correa was a former Gold Glove winner himself. Now, it seems that Volpe's saving grace was these 15 defensive runs that he saved, as well as the fact that he played more games than the other two. I mean, he played 157 games at shortstop pretty much the whole season, versus Corey Seager, who only played 116 games, and Carlos Correa only played 135. Now, yes, he did have the 17 errors, which was way more than the other two, but I guess they took into account that, look, he played, compared to Carlos Correa, he played 20 more games, and then compared against Corey Seager, he played 40 more games at shortstop. So you figure, look, the more games you play, the more opportunities you have to commit an error. So I guess they balanced that out with, of course, the fact that he had those 15 defensive runs saved, and I guess the combination of that was able to get him over the hump. But again, something that was taking me by surprise because, again, to give it to a rookie, it's just not something I was expecting. I figured, a lot of these things are always on like reputation and relationships, stuff like that. So I figured we'd either go to Seager or Correa, but nevertheless, surprisingly happy, as a Yankee fan, it goes to Anthony Volpe, and Volpe becomes the first Yankee rookie to win the Gold Glove. Obviously, the last Yankee shortstop and a Yankee overall since Derek Jeter. A couple of years goes from that, and also becomes the youngest shortstop to win the award. So now, at the age of 22 and 156 days old, he now surpasses Alan Trammell, who did it in 1980. Now, he was also 22 years old when it happened, but he was 228 days. So Anthony Volpe, 100 days younger than Trammell, so he becomes the youngest there. So, good feather in his cap for a rookie season. And then, remember when the year started, it was all like, is the Yankees going to bring him up to start the season? And of course, he was in competition with Peraza as well as IKF, who had the shortstop position from the previous year. So the Yankees kind of went with, again, they kind of tried the youth movement to start the season, which I think was the right call at the time. With Peraza, and of course, you're hoping Oswaldo Cabrera coming up having a better sophomore season, which he didn't have. So kind of a lot of pressure on him. Hey, look, Yankee shortstop. We know all that comes with that. So, he had a really good, regular season. Of course, the batting average is low. You know that, and hopefully he can improve that. But of course, the 2020 season, 20 home runs, 20 stolen bases, and now he could add a Gold Glove to that. So, something good to put along here on his, for his rookie campaign there. So, obviously, it looks like it was the right call for the Yankees to call him up to start the season last year. And I remember, he was struggling a lot. And people say, should send him back down. And the Yankees stuck with him the whole way. And I thought that was the right call. I think he was just better off taking his lumps up here versus sending him down. There's certain players I think benefit from sending down and bringing back up. And I think he was someone who was better off being here. It just seemed like everyone liked him, just the way he was in the clubhouse and the way Judge liked him. And, even though he was a rookie, he just seemed like to be one of the guys already. So you don't send one of the guys back down to the minors there. So I thought it was the right call. And, of course, hats off to him getting the Gold Glove. Now, as for first base, Anthony Rizzo was in the running there, but again, at least I got that one right. It did go to Nathaniel Lowe, who I predicted, who pretty much played the entire season at first base, only had 3 errors and a ridiculously high fielding percentage, and of course, just like Seager, fresh off a World Series there, so he gets the nod for first base. Again, Rizzo just didn't have enough games played there. Again, it was versus Rizzo and Mountcastle of Baltimore. Same with Mountcastle. He played a lot of time also as DH. So he played some first base as well, but doesn't have enough games there. So Nathaniel Lowe gets it there for first base, and no surprise there. And let's just see Volpe. Again, all he has to do is he has to up the batting average there, because you can't be hitting like 210, 206 an entire season. So he gets a pass as a rookie, but going to be a lot more pressure for next year to get that batting average up. And the World Series are over, so technically that ends the 2023 baseball season. And I'm not going to harp too much on the World Series. Obviously not Yankee related, but it wasn't very compelling. Ended in 5 games, and other than maybe Game 1, which ended in a walk-off home run, the rest of the series was kind of really underwhelming with some of the scores. I mean, Game 3 a little bit ended in a 3-1 score there, and again it was a big jam where Chapman got a big double play to get out of it. But again, other than that, it wasn't much of a compelling World Series, and that's kind of what you get, as I kind of mentioned last episode, when you have 2 teams that really shouldn't be their normal situation. Again, Texas, a 90-win team, and Arizona, an 84-win team in the World Series there. So you're probably not going to get the best of the best in terms of baseball versus, if, let's say you had like a 96-win team versus a 100-win team, you probably get a more compelling World Series that go to 6-7 games and be very thrilling and have a lot of tight, final results there. Wasn't the case with this series, so kind of, been there, done that. So Texas gets their first championship in the franchise history. So I'm sure that, get that off the schneid there. So, and it kind of, crazy enough, just, with Aroldis Chapman now, he gets his second World Series ring. I'm going to just let that sink in a little bit. Got one, in 2016 with the Cubs. The Yankees traded him to the Cubs to get Gleyber Torres. And of course, this year, Chapman started with the Royals, gets traded to the Texas Rangers, and now gets a second ring there. And again, at least he performed a little bit better this postseason run there, so he kind of earned a little bit. Again, kind of, saved his career a little bit, which was really in the dumps last year with the Yankees, especially the way it ended. Rectifies that there. But again, still mind-boggling that, Chapman's like this savior of baseball teams. The Cubs went like 100 years without World Series, then Chapman comes, gets them a ring, and now Texas, their first ring in franchise history there. So kind of bizarre, because Chapman's like a kind of a secret savior like that. But you don't mind seeing Texas winning there. You have Jordan Montgomery gets a ring. Obviously, you don't want to see him do bad, so good to see him get a ring. Chapman, you don't hate him, so if he gets a ring, fine like that. And really nothing to hate about Texas, so it's something you can live with. And of course, Arizona, you don't want to see them be happy because they, obviously they beat the Yankees in 2001 there. And even though half those players probably barely alive at the time there, but you just don't want to see the Arizona Diamondbacks have any happiness there. So hats off to Chapman there. And will Chapman ever return to the Yankees? Probably not. Jordan Montgomery entering a free agency, it's a possibility, but I don't think it happens. And once the World Series ends, that's when players then declare their free agency. And of course, the Yankees have more than a handful, so we'll go over some of them. Of course, Luis Severino, who obviously really did had a bad, didn't really make a great case for himself for 2023 of, the Yankees give him any sort of long-term deal after this. Again, Severino guy came up with the organization, has been around for a few years. You like to see him do well, but gets hurt all the time. So, I'm not sure if they would bring him back, if maybe on a one-year deal, a team-friendly deal, possibly. But also joining him in free agency would be Frankie Montas, so we never want to see this guy again. No way he comes back. Luke Weaver, Kenyon Middleton, Zach McAllister. Again, those are some of the big trade deadline moves that Brian Cashman made there. Even though Luke Weaver had a few decent starts for the Yankees, and as well as Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, which is going to be interesting. Again, Mr. Utility Man for the Yankees. And of course, probably I think the biggest one that really the Yankees have to make a decision on is Wandy Peralta. Very valuable for the Yankees out of the bullpen the past couple of seasons. And, not only does he get lefties out, but he also gets righties. And he's really one of the more steady Eddie people in the Yankee bullpen there. Again, rarely gets hurt, always consistent. He's not like up and down like Clay Holmes or gets the yips like Loizaga might a little bit where he loses strike zone. And you can always depend on Wandy Peralta. Now, he is 32 years old, so not old but not young. And again, you look at his 2023 season, 4-2 with a 2.83 ERA, so an ERA under 3 there. And, again, that's someone the Yankees will probably have to make a decision on. 32 years old, can you get him for a 2-year deal, something like that? Quite possibly. Now, there were also a number of players that the Yankees originally put on the waivers just to clean up the 40-man roster, and those players include Domingo Germán, Matt Bowman, Franchy Cordero, Jimmy Cordero, Billy McKinney, and Ryan Weber. Now, the thing was they put them on waivers, and if no one teams claim them, then the Yankees were going to put him on assignment to go down to the minors. Now, of course, players like Herman or Billy McKinney has been in the majors for a while. They're not going to accept a minor league assignment. So you know they're going to declare for free agency. And, of course, what happens is that they also declare free agency. So you add all those players to the free agency market there. Now, we're going to analyze a few of them with Herman. I don't think you'll see, in any situation, you won't see Herman or Jimmy Cordero back in a Yankee uniform. Again, I like Herman. He's decent as a Yankee, but of course, obviously he had the incident with the domestic dispute incident a couple of seasons ago where he got suspended for 81 games. Then he had this bizarre car accident down to the Dominican Republic, which, again, we don't know if there's some substance involved with that. And of course, just most recently with the Yankees, that incident in early August where he came to the clubhouse, had a confrontation with Boone. Again, substance abuse, might have been kind of a little hooched or whatever, and started turning over couches and TVs and stuff, and they had to grab him, throw him in the sauna to dry him out, and then security had to take him off. So I just don't see any situation where him ever pitching in a Yankee uniform again, and it's just kind of bad because he didn't, again, he was having a decent season for himself, threw the no-hitter in Oakland, and then right after that had this issue, but don't see any situation where the Yankees ever consider bringing him back, as well as Jimmy Cordero, again, a relief pitcher, doing well for the Yankees, but again, he had to be removed from the team early season. Again, Major League Baseball was investigating him for some domestic situation, and again, you just don't want any of these guys around, and if the Yankees are going to start taking themselves seriously and hey, look, we have to get back to business and no horsing around, you can't have guys in this kind of nonsense like that going around the team there. You kind of got to keep business straight now for the World Series, and you can't just have these characters around, which again has something that's been going on for the past few seasons with the Yankee organization. But they've been floundering a little bit, maybe, so they got to start cleaning house. So don't see any situation where either of those two come back, and it's just kind of bad because again I liked him on. I like how he pitches, kind of old school there. He has the the knee-high socks, and he has has tobacco in the mouth there. He always pitches like that, kind of old school baseball, but unfortunately, you can't have a guy like that around the team anymore. Now, I know there's probably, you're worrying about maybe Jake Bauers. Oh my God, what happened to Jake Bauers? Don't worry, Jake Bauers is still with the team, so he's under an arbitration contract. So look, he's with the organization. They'll probably going to offer him an arbitration deal sometime during spring training there. So I know Billy McKinney and Jake Bauers kind of almost the same type of player, more or less. The only benefit with Bauers is that he can play first base in a pinch, even though it was kind of ugly. We saw him play a little first base last year and it wasn't pretty, but he can do it technically. So I guess they will keep him around. But again, Bauers is kind of he's a fourth or fifth outfielder at best. So, but at least he's still with the Yankees. But Billy McKinney, is he someone the Yankees could bring back? Because again, he's just, as a utility guy. But I say no. I mean, he's kind of he's like bargain basement, Dollar Tree type players. I was just let's get rid of him. We need good, solid, professional baseball players here. Like the Bellingers of the world or the Sotos of the world. So no bargain basement Billy McKinney. So I don't think he'll be back. And Isaiah kind of Fluffer, that's kind of interesting because he kind of you look at the season. He lost his shortstop starting job to Anthony Volpe, and he basically had to find himself at bat. So took some practice in the outfield. He played a little center field for the Yankees, played a little left field for the Yankees, became Mr. Utility Man in a couple of spots. He actually pitched an inning when the Yankees were getting blown out. So would the Yankees consider bringing a guy like that back for a year? I don't think so. I mean, just because he's ready in the early 30s. I mean, they paid him $6 million last year. I mean, are you going to pay a guy like that $7-8 million? It probably doesn't make sense. So Isaiah kind of Fluffer, you like the guy. His 2022 season was decent. Didn't end that great. Grew up as a Yankee fan, liked being here, but I just don't see any situation where they bring IKF back as well. Now, someone the Yankees should consider bringing in is Japanese pitcher Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who had a big game for himself in Game 6 of the Japanese World Series, and you want to check out his line here. 138 pitches, so that's kind of old school David Cohn, remember back in the 95 Division Series, as well as kind of Justin Verlander, kind of old school, high pitch count guys, even though you can give a guy a lot of money, you don't want to throw him in pitches, but nevertheless, so he pitched well in that Game 6 to force it to a Game 7, and if you look at his line, he went a complete 9 innings there, 14 strikeouts, no walks. Again, impressive, and which might be his final start of that his Japanese career before he comes over here to the States. And again, this is for the Oryx Buffaloes. I don't know if they spell Buffaloes OES like that, but anyway. But if you look at his 2023 stats, 16-8, very impressive, 1.21 ERA, so an ERA under 2. 169 strikeouts in 164 innings pitched. So again, averaging about a strikeout per inning there. And a good part, only 25 years old. Now, a lot of these Japanese players that, have come here, usually like the Dice K's of the world, ones early on had a lot of innings lugged on them already. They came in the early 30s, but it goes him at 25 years old. So even if he has a lot of innings, still very young there. So it's kind of different than it was maybe when Japanese pitchers first started coming over to the States here. And again, they're saying that he should fetch anywhere around $200 million for about a 6 or 7 years deals. That's what they're projecting there. Again, if I'm Yankees and the Cashman, I'm definitely want to get in on that. But it looks like other organizations as well, such as you expect, the Cubs, the Red Sox, again, old school, high echelon major league teams with big payrolls there. And if you want to look back at, he would, if he does get to $200 million, that would surpass Tanaka's contract that the Yankees gave him in 2014. Again, that was $155 million there. So, I think the Yankees are in on him. And as mentioned before in the previous episode here, Cashman actually went to Japan to watch one of his games and actually saw a no-hitter. So, I mean, if that doesn't sell you on this guy, I don't know what else does. And the fact that he's young, 25. And again, the Yankees have to get back to having a really good, strong starting rotation, which was very underwhelming last season. I mean, we had really high expectations coming in, but really other than Garrett Cole, you really got nothing from the Yankee starting rotation. Carlos Rodon, of course, was hurt for more than half the year. When he came here, he was terrible. He has to rectify himself. Nestor Cortez kind of on and off the in the reserve list, and he eventually had himself shut down, and he was never really healthy the entire season. Of course, we know about Frankie Montas. Same thing, pretty much got hurt. It was hurt, but had surgery before the season began, and he saw him for like 1 or 2 appearances at the end of the year there. So a total waste. And same thing with Severino. Hurt, not hurt, and then eventually had to be shut down. So the Yankee starting rotation, we had big expectations coming in last season, and it completely flopped. So I think if you add this guy, as well as Garrett Cole, and of course you need Carlos Rodon to straighten out his act, which I don't think he could be any worse than he was last year, so that'd be better. And again, same thing with Nestor Cortez. I don't think 2024 can't be any worse than it was 2023, so it's almost like addition by subtraction. And then maybe they had Clark Schmidt, who, again, was impressive for the Yankees. He was probably maybe one of the bright spots of the 2023 Yankees this season. Had no problem as a 5th starter in there and going to war with that. Now, of course, we know Sean Casey not coming back as the Yankees batting coach, but at least on his way out the door, did have a suggestion that, yes, the Yankees should be all in on Juan Soto, which, again, that was kind of the crux of the previous episode here, and he kind of endorsed it just because mainly suggested, which we all be known with this Yankee team, they're too right-handed, and that's kind of been the problem with this team going back the past 3 seasons. Of course, Juan Soto would be a great lefty bat to bring in as well. He could play left field for the Yankees, so, kill 2 birds, 1 stone. Now, there are other options out there in free agency, and we'll kind of get into more of this in the future because we have a whole offseason ahead of us, but you also have Cody Bellinger out there, again, only 28 years old. Now, he would probably be a much less expensive item where you could just get him outright by free agency, whereas with Soto, not only have to give up, prospects just to get the trade and to get him here, but you're not going to bring him here just for 1 year, of course. He's going to want his mega deal. So he enters free agency in 2025. I broke that all down. So you have to give up both prospects and give him a humongous deal that's going to be bigger than Bellinger, versus if you just bring Bellinger, or you can just pay up straight up cash this offseason. You got him, and you have to trade him in one way. So, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go about this. Again, Bellinger probably the more or less expensive option, just money-wise and prospects-wise. But, of course, Soto will be the prize. Again, Sean Casey, the Yankee batting coach, suggested they should go all in on Soto. They kind of need him. Again, this Yankee organization has been too right-handed for a while. Other than Rizzo, really don't have any lefty at bats. And they tried to start the season with Hicks and as a switch hitter. Well, of course, that failed, and he had to get rid of him. Of course, it does well elsewhere. Oswaldo Cabrera, switch hitter himself, again, had a very underwhelming, very disappointing sophomore season. So once those two weren't performing well, plus with Rizzo out of the lineup, again, the Yankees were back with the same problem, being too right-handed. And I know they brought in Bowers, they brought in McKinney, and towards the end of the year, Florial. But again, this organization has been very void of left-handed at-bats. And again, when the Yankees were always at the best, whether you want to talk about the late 90s Yankees or even around 2009, they either had lefty at-bats or at least switch hitters, which is almost like a lefty at-bat if you need it. And you go back with the Yankee lineups of the late 90s, you had Bernie Williams, switch hitter. You had Jorge Posada, switch hitter. And then if you go a little later on to 2009 Yankees, you had Mark Teixeira, switch hitter. Posada was still on the team as a switch hitter. Nick Swisher, a switch hitter there. And plus there are other lefty at-bats who are like Johnny Damon. So they had a good mix there. This organization for the past few seasons has been way too right-handed there. Of course, we know Judge, right-handed hitter. Stanton, a right-handed hitter. DJ LeMahieu, right-handed hitter. Gleyber Torres, a right-handed hitter. I know they shipped him out. Gary Sanchez, right-handed. Then when they traded him, brought him in here for Josh Donaldson, also right-handed. So too many right-handers on his team. So they definitely need a big, major left-handed at-bat. So whether it's Soto or Bellinger, they got to get one of them. Now, looking at the moves that the Yankees need to make, and of course the bad moves they didn't make in the past. Now, the Yankees are going to bring in this third-party firm we've been hearing about. So now, according to the New York Post, the firm has been identified. It's called Zelus Analytics. So that's the firm that's going to do a deep dive in this Yankee organization to look at what the problems they have in terms of evaluating talent, bad trades, like trading Jordan Montgomery for like Harrison Bader in a boot. even though I thought it was a good trade at the time. But nevertheless, look back, like, what's going wrong with this organization? Why does someone like Chapman struggle here and then do well elsewhere? Or why does someone like Jordan Montgomery come here and just be like a fourth, fifth starter and go somewhere else and be like a postseason beast? So kind of look at all these problems that the Yankees have and kind of come up with some. So I guess what they actually sell are, it's an intelligence platform which sells knowledge and mathematical models. So I guess they have these different models that you plug in your stats in and they kind of give you outcomes of what you should do. Nevertheless, so it's it's run by a couple of former Los Angeles Dodger executives, which, kind of makes sense. I mean, the Dodgers have been successful over the past, decade or so. So I don't know, maybe these guys kind of know what they're doing. Now, they have sold to other teams in the past, and that includes the Atlanta Braves, who right now have been a good organization the past 2 seasons. The Tampa Bay Rays, who we know are good every season, and even though they have like a $20 million payroll, they always find themselves into the postseason every year, so they might be doing something right. Now, here's some ones where the example doesn't work out right all the time. The San Francisco Giants, who, again, what have they done lately? As well as the Chicago White Sox, they've also been quite terrible lately. So, these guys aren't exactly a sure bet, but, you see some successes, see some failures. So now they do have a clause. They only sell their services to one team per division. So again, if you hire them, then no one else in that division, because obviously, you don't want 2 organizations kind of using the same stuff, which it makes sense if they're selling their services. You kind of want to feel like you got like the monopoly of their services in your division. So let's say that the Yankees have them, supposedly a team like the Red Sox or the Baltimore Orioles can't use them because the Yankees are using them. So that's the case. So they're going to do this deep dive, and this is, part of, this is kind of how Steinbrenner kind of giving Brian Cashman a slap. You don't know what you're doing, even though he can't fire Cashman because Cashman still has 3 years left in the deal. You're not going to fire a guy early. So I guess the little slap on the wrist is him hiring this firm to do this. Now, the current Yankee analytical department's headed up by Mike Fishman. So he handles the Yankee analytics. Now, Judge, he made some comments after the offseason that the Yankees do have top-notch type of analytics. He questioned how this is used, how this is funneled to the players, in some cases where you shouldn't be using it, in some cases where you should be using it, and how they message it to the players. And he kind of points to Oswaldo Cabrera as someone who might be hindered by these analytics, kind of too much math and stuff thrown at him at one time in terms of his swing and all this stuff, and maybe it went to his head, and that's why he had a bad 2023 season. When he came up last season in 2022, you come up as a rookie, you don't have all this stuff, and you kind of just go from your gut and play whatever, all this stuff in your head, and you're more successful. So Judge feels that maybe this is holding some of the players back, so it is a possibility, but they're going to go through this deep dive, and let's see what they come up with. And speaking of Judge and award season, he was nominated to 2023. Well, he won the 2023 Roberto Clemente Award, and that's an award where it's based on your charity work. So each team nominates one person based on their organization. Now with Aaron Judge, his organization is called All Rise, and I guess whatever they each player, they look at these charities, and I guess the best one gets the Roberto Clemente Award, and that goes to Aaron Judge, and because he was on hand Game 3 during the World Series, so good to see him there. And of course, he took some pictures with Jeter and A-Rod and that stuff, so good to see some of the old Yankees and the new Yankees all getting together there. And of course, your Aaron Judge, it just helps, when last season you hit 62 home runs, you're the Yankee captain, and you're literally humongous, you're 6'7". I guess that gets you a lot of attention, so, congratulations to Judge on his, All Rise Foundation there. It's as good to Aaron Judge that he is becoming the face of baseball. I know they're trying to push Ohtani, and he is to a degree, but again, Aaron Judge, Yankee captain. I mean, he obviously needs the championships, he needs the postseason, all that stuff like that, but really becoming the face of baseball. And of course, as a Yankee fan, you like to see all that. In the last episode, I mentioned that the Cleveland Guardians were considering Yankees bench coach Carlos Mendoza to be a manager. Of course, right after that, the Mets hire Mendoza, which doesn't make any sense. But Mendoza now will be the manager of those New York Mets. The Guardians ended up going with Stephen Vogt. And of course, the biggest surprise of all is Craig Counsell, who the Mets were also considering, but he signs a big deal with the Cubs. For a manager, it's insane. 5 years, $40 million. I mean, $8 million a year for a manager. I mean, it's kind of unheard of there. So, and again, Craig Counsell has been with the Brewers the past few seasons. Again, they've been making the postseason, but no championships or anything. So I don't see what merits a $40 million contract. But nevertheless, it's that money to spend. But nevertheless, Mendoza goes to the Mets now. And Mendoza has been with the Yankee organization for the better part of 15 seasons, so he's kind of been bit bouncing around different roles there, and more recently the Yankees bench coach. And again, he's been getting a lot of face time because, the past couple of seasons, but definitely this 2023 season, Aaron Boone's been thrown out of so many games that it kind of brings up Mendoza's face there. Again, I don't know really what got into Boone this season, but yeah, getting thrown out left and right there. So that kind of gave Mendoza gets a lot of screen time there, and I guess his reputation and whatnot. He goes to the Mets, and it's been kind of weird with both the Yankees and the Mets organization. I mean, you look at the Yankees, their third base coach, Luis Rojas, was the Mets manager before he got let go, and it's just sort of like, I don't know, more in recently time, like it just seemed like the Mets and Yankees are kind of trading coaches back and forth a little bit. It's something you wouldn't have seen it even considered, 20, 30 years ago, but I guess now it just maybe doesn't matter as much. I just can't see something like George Steinbrenner like that, just to see his guy go to the Mets. I just don't think that just wouldn't have happened, So I just think we're in a totally different environment right now. And, Mendoza could have been someone if he hung around a little bit more. And let's just say the Yankees, after next season, decide to, part ways with Boone's. Maybe Mendoza would have been someone they would consider this because we're with the Yankee organization for 15 seasons. We'll never find out about that. What's great about Mendoza, again, I don't really know, and I don't really know what the Mets saw in him. But obviously, he was probably a much less expensive item than Craig Counsell. And, for Steve Cohen, all the money, Mr. Billionaire, I guess maybe, he just didn't want to fork up the money for Counsell, so they settled for Mendoza. And on November 15th, we'll find out about Garrett Cole if he gets the American League Cy Young Award. Again, he seems like a shoo-in for that. And it's kind of weird, like, why they're dragging this out so much. I mean, the regular season's been over for more than a month, so I mean, they kind of know who the winner is, and it's pretty obvious. But obviously, they probably want to stretch this out more, probably for more of like MLB Network. For example, November 6th at night, the 5th at night, MLB Network is when they announced the Gold Glove Award winners there. So I guess it just gives you a reason to want to tune in there versus just dropping all the stuff during the World Series. I guess they have to keep viewers' eyes on the game for a while, especially when baseball's somewhat in a dark mode. That'll be November, December, January, and then it's going to heat up again until spring training in February. But Garrett Cole, we'll get that news on him on November 15th. Again, for the American League, seems to be a shoo-in now. He already did win some type of award. I guess it was the Players of Choice Award. It was the American League Outstanding Pitcher of the Year. So, and that's again based on his peers. Players voted for him there. So again, if they're voting him for that, very, very more than likely he's also going to get the Cy Young Award. So, if you want to look at this Yankees season as a team, it was a failure, but some individual accomplishments. You look at Anthony Volpe with the Gold Glove, and Garrett Cole, hopefully and very most likely, gets the Cy Young. Well, that's the episode. Hope you liked it. Hope you liked the desk. It seems like we get a lot of good reviews on the desk. So if you're a desk fan, you're probably definitely going to get it for the rest of this off season. We'll see what happens, in the new season there. But nevertheless, the desk is here for the rest of the off season. And congratulations again to Anthony Volpe winning the American League Gold Glove Award for shortstop. Again, I was wrong on that one, but was right about Rizzo. So hey, look, that's hitting 500. So you hit 300, you go in the Hall of Fame. So I'm hitting 500 there. So I like my odds at that. And again, we'll see what happens with Garrett Cole. Now, again, I said at the top, and if you haven't done it now, this is a good opportunity because the rest of the shows is going to be me blobbing a little bit and then credits. So this is a good opportunity for you to go subscribe. So wherever you are, you listen to your favorite podcast, go there. It could be Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever. Look for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, subscribe there. And if you haven't done it already, go on YouTube. If you're not watching this on YouTube, if you're watching on TV, go on YouTube, subscribe Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and get notified new episodes go up. You can do it right now. There'll be a little bit me moving my hands a little bit, and the credits come on right after this. So this is a good opportunity to do it. Do it right now.